Hello and welcome to today's webcast, A Prescription for Talent. I'm your host, Diana Van Blaricom, and joining me today are our subject matter experts, Kevin Hamilton and Michael Watson. And we're going to show you how we are changing the way that we are looking at the process of sourcing candidates and the overall recruiting process. We're going to flip the industry on its head, and this digital transformation of recruitment is going to be pretty amazing. So let's get started. For today's agenda, we're going to talk about whether or not you're really winning the war on talent. I know we're trying, I know we've got a lot of great tools out there, but are we really winning? And then we're going to explain this digital disruption of recruiting that we're talking about. What if we flip the model on its head? Instead of posting a job and hoping people see it, what if we can just go find people that are a great fit for the job? And technology is changing how we fill jobs and really being able to find the person for the job versus a job that needs a person. And we're going to talk about how we're going to do that. And then we're going to show you some amazing new tools that really leverage the true power of artificial intelligence.
So let's get started. Once again, I'm Diana Van Blaricom. I'm the Vice President of HCM Strategic Services here at ROI Healthcare Solutions. And joining me today is Kevin Hamilton. He is one of my principal consultants on my team. Kevin is an experienced HR professional, just a joy to work with. He has lots of expertise in HR technology, compensation design and administration, health and wellness plan design, and also employee engagement. He has over 20 years of experience in a variety of industries, ranging from healthcare systems and public employers to privately held Fortune 500 companies. So great perspective coming into this. He holds a master's degree from Colorado State University and is a licensed emergency medical technician. So for our healthcare folks that are on the phone with us, he is also part of your community as well. So just a little bit of information about our organization. If you're not familiar with ROI, we have been an Infor partner since 1999 and had the Infor practice for the last 11 years. We've got over 120 team members and really focusing not only on leveraging the Infor technologies, but also other technologies and transformations of process and training and people and making sure everyone from a people process technology perspective, are being able to leverage these technologies and going through and really, transforming the way that we do business, looking at pieces across the board operationally, not only just the technology, but how we work and how we can change the way we work. And I am happy to introduce Michael Watson from Eightfold, who will be joining us today as our guest expert. Michael, would you like to share a little bit about your background?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much. And before I get started, to all of the healthcare workers on the call, thank you. You are on the front lines of this war we're in. And the interesting thing about this war we're in against this COVID virus is the war is not going to be won by killing people. It's going to be won by healing people. And you folks are going to be the ones that are doing that. So my heart and prayer with all of you. And I look forward to a fun conversation about recruiting and getting into this today. So Michael Watson, I've been recruiting for longer than I like to admit. I started back in '97 with Aerotech right out of school. Did that for 10, 11 years, moved over to corporate America where I've run corporate recruiting for Polycom, HGST, Workday, Rambus, Gigamon, and then I became a customer of Eightfold's and joined them about 11 weeks ago to really help drive home the message of we can do more with artificial intelligence. It allows us to free up our folks to do a little bit more. So I'm excited to join the call today, to add my expertise where I can, to learn from you folks as well. And I really look forward to the conversation. Thank you. So here are the three gentlemen that I really came to work for. Ashutosh Garg, Varun Kachola, and Kamal Alawali. And I report directly to Kamal, so I'll save him for last. But the first two, Ashutosh Garg and Varun Kachola, are really kind of two of the founding fathers of artificial intelligence, how we know it in the world of HR and hiring right now. Ashutosh, you can see there, has over 6,000 research citations, 50 patents, 35 plus peer-reviewed research publications. He's written books. He really is considered one of the founding fathers of how to use artificial intelligence to increase your hiring and really identify those great people to look at. Varun is our technical expertise. He's the wizard behind the curtain, and helping map out, right? When we talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, he's really the gentleman that's mapping that out and making all of that work behind the scenes. And Kamal is helping us bring all this together, helping us bring our products to the market, and is really an innovative leader in that space as well. So the three of them together make a very formidable team. These three are why I joined the company. I didn't join because it was so much artificial intelligence. I believe in what these three people have done in the past. You know, they've started the news feed and Facebook and the recommendation engines and YouTube. You go there and watch a video, they recommend other videos for you. So these folks know about recommendations, artificial intelligence, and how to apply that. So really excited about working with these three folks myself.
Cool. So this is Kevin. What we want to do is talk about why do we have this partnership between ROI and Eightfold AI? Why did we do this? Well, as we tried to transform recruitment and talent management with Infor, it makes sense for us to partner with Eightfold. We'll go through that a little bit. We continually hear about the need for talent management, how systems can help processes around onboarding, cross-boarding, but they hadn't so far. And so what we're going to do is show you how you can utilize Eightfold to make your recruiting and talent management even better. Why are we in a war for talent? Or are we in a war for talent? We really are. It's an age-old battle. Employers want the best people. People want the best jobs. But how do we know what is what? More than half employees changed jobs in the last year. That's startling. In addition, the workforce of today is almost continually looking for a new job, with most people making decisions on whether or not they look for a new job in the first 6 months of taking a new job. Contrast that with organizational leadership who say they want a more diverse workforce, or they can't find the right talent, or their efforts on everything from retention and diversity are not working. So how is it that employees move and employers can't find the right talent? Job descriptions are great for stating responsibilities for a person, but what about the right person for that job? How do you find the right person for a particular job, given recruiters can't search every skill, let alone overcome the inherent bias for certain universities or major fields of studies, or what other subconscious trait, is sitting inside of somebody? On the next slide, in addition to so many people moving jobs and so many organizations looking for people, the advantage really is on the side of the job seeker. We can debate about who should have an advantage or should there even be one, but in the end, the organization really needs to make sure the right person comes into the organization and stays in that organization. So how do organizations get the employees they need, and how do they get them to stay? Is there anything that would keep them from moving so often? In December 2019, the Bureau of Labor Statistics estimated there were more than 6.4 million jobs open in the United States. At the same time, they estimated the employment rate is 3.6%. It's a lot of open jobs and very few people to fill them. So recruiting efforts are largely defined by the employee or the candidate. While organizations, recruiters can and do proactively look for candidates, they oftentimes can't find the right person. Candidates get into the system through applying, and then the recruiters can then finally take a real look at that applicant. But how does a current employee even know that another organization is looking for him or her, or what other roles at their current organization are they a really good fit for? What if the recruiter could spend more time finding a candidate without having to wait for him or her to apply? Employers often also don't even know the skills of their own current employees. Therefore, they can't really determine what their career path could or should look like. This makes succession planning almost impossible and often causes employees ready for their next move to look outside their organization instead of inside. On the next slide, aside from having the right people doing the right things at the right company, why do employers care about this? Because it's really expensive. The cost for a poor talent management process is staggering. $30,000 per employee. It can be as high as that. If you have a 20% turnover, multiply $30,000 times 20% of your workforce, it's a big number. Even if the costs are lower, say it's only $5,000 per hire, that's still a really large number at 20% turnover, even if it's 10% turnover. As most of us are aware, even if you bring in the right person, getting them up to speed, like how do you send an internal document? Where does, who is who inside your organization? Who needs what information? Just getting an employee up to speed can take a long time. If costs associated with hiring can be anywhere from 1 to 2 times or more to replace certain positions, and over a year for some roles to become fully effective, that's a really large bottom line hit. Employees may receive little or more, a little more money by moving from one job to another job or another employer. But few list money as their primary motivator. Most people list the work environment, challenging work, or some other demotivator that could be mitigated if the organization was more aware of it and had the ability to truly understand what a person could excel at versus what they currently know. That's where artificial intelligence really provides value to an employer. So on the next slide, we've got a kind of a model of our current process. The current model is an employer posts a job. Somebody, the job seeker goes, finds it, sends the resume in, and then somehow the job description gets compared against that. Well, technology has changed exponentially in the last few years, but recruiting is still using the same process it's been using for decades. Organizations don't know who their talent pool is until that person applies to a job. That job is posted based on a job description, and in worst cases, not all applicants even get to the recruiter. Their applicant tracking systems try to limit the number of resumes provided to a recruiter through keyword matches or other filtering parameters. That's not really based on what the applicant even knows or is able to do, but what they chose to highlight on their resume and what words matched. Recruiters might see skills and knowledge, but do they really see somebody's ability or their applied knowledge? Currently, recruiters may, if they have time after screening hundreds of resumes that make it through their applicant tracking system, they might have time to go to a site like LinkedIn and do a keyword search and look for people who have not actually applied. Let's say a recruiter has 50 open positions. If they receive 100 resumes for each position and spend 1 minute on each resume, that's 5,000 minutes. That's 2 weeks, and that's just looking at resumes. That doesn't include scheduling interviews, sending out correspondence, communicating with the potential candidate, and all the other things that recruiters are asked to do. It's actually amazing they can find anyone at all at their open positions, let alone the right person. So it's understandable why inherent biases exist. Once you find a great candidate, you naturally look for similar attributes in all your candidates. It's not necessarily wrong, but it does create a bias towards certain sources or other attributes like what college did they go to. There's a lot of other avenues not even looked at or considered. So there's a problem, it's clear, but how do we fix that problem? What if recruiters found the right person for the right job instead of waiting for close to right person to find their job posting, apply and get through the tracking system? And what if that solution literally saved millions of dollars? What if there's a way to use artificial intelligence and machine learning to solve this problem? Now I sound like an infomercial, but wait until you see behind the curtain. And that's where we're going to get it over to Michael here. He's going to walk you through the Eightfold AI solution and how it solves the problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, I'm going to go back to 1997 when I started recruiting. It was literally a phone book and a phone and a 3-ring binder and a file cabinet. And the internet was just starting to emerge. It was all text. Job boards were just starting to emerge. And for the next 20 years or so, we've been, as candidates, entering our information into this job board world or online. And as recruiters, we've been tapping into this, paying big dollars to tap into this information to see where our next hire is going to come from. And what's been going on, and this is really driven by the digital transformation revolution, is you now own all of this information, you as the customer in your applicant tracking system. When I was at Gigamon, I remember when they called me, I looked and I had to make 300 hires, and I had 70,000 people in my talent pool, but I had no way of searching them, no way of matching them against my open positions. I had no intelligence into my talent pool. So that's where we come in. And if you could go to the next slide for me. We take profiles and we enrich them, and how we do that is, right, so everyone's been going to LinkedIn as kind of the main source for information the last 10-15 years. We take that information, the publicly available information, and we couple that with your internal information, right? So your applicant tracking system, we can look at the people you've hired in the past, we can look at the attributes. What we've done, and this is where the AI and the machine learning comes in, is we've taken the written resume and broken that down into a set of skills. So we know by the title what that title does and what skills it takes to be successful in that role by looking at 3.5 billion profiles. And we do the same thing with the job description. We look at the title, we look at the skills associated with that, and we say, okay, we put that through some AI and machine learning, and we say, okay, we can see the trends here, and this is what it takes to be successful. Now, you can only do that by looking at both sets of data. So if you can go to the next slide for me, please. This is where the Eightfold network and the platform comes into play, because we're ingesting all of this data. We're ingesting your past applicants. We're looking at your current applicants. We're looking at employee referrals, your university recruiting program, your diversity program. We're looking at your existing employees. If you use agencies, if your recruiter's using LinkedIn Recruiter or Hire Tool or something like that, and going out and finding passive candidates and a company alumni. But because we're ingesting all of this data into one platform, we can really give you some rich insights into what works best, what matches, what doesn't work, why it doesn't. And that leads to a whole list of benefits: lower cost of hire, fewer days to fill, candidate match to job, higher diversity, and competitive differentiation, right? And remember, 11 weeks ago, I was in your seat. I was a talent acquisition practitioner, right? I was running this, and I remember I went to my CHRO and I said, I really think by implementing a platform like this, we can shave 10 days off our days to hire. And if we can do that, just that 10 days will lead to $1.5 million of increased productivity. Now, we're a small company. We were 700 people at the time. We had to hire 300 people. So just extrapolate that and do the numbers, and you can see very quickly how just being more efficient, identifying people faster, the right skill sets sooner, will help you drive efficiency later on in the process. Next slide, please. All right, so the future is now. Artificial intelligence, what we say is it searches candidates for you. Finds out who you need, not what they did. Hire those skills you will need, and not what skills you used to know or what you used to need. And I think I'm a perfect example of this. When I interviewed at Eightfold, it was for their director of talent acquisition. I went in and interviewed with them, and they called me back and they said, Mike, everyone loves you here, but we think there's an actual role that you're better for. We call it talent transformation. It's working with our customers to help them realize the efficiency and the gains of this. So I'm a living example of how I went in and their algorithms looked at me and says, hey, this person could be in a customer facing role, aligned to professional services on the delivery team, even though he's been in recruiting the last 22 years. And when we talk about the war for talent, that's how companies are going to win the war for talent. It's not always looking at a platform and saying, oh, this identified the perfect person for me. They have the perfect title, they have the perfect background. The real power of Eightfold is when we can look at someone's background and say, you know what, we feel very confident this person can do your job. They might not have that ideal title. They might not have that traditional background you might look for. But we know through the power of deep machine learning that this person has all the skills you need to do the job. We don't care what school they went to. We don't care what creed, color, race, national, country of origin. We could care less about that. We are trying to find the people that can do the jobs for you. So really exciting time, and we'll show you as we go through this a little bit more how we really kind of do that behind the scenes. So next slide, please. Changing how jobs are filled. Will you be looking for your next job, or will it find you? One of the things that we're looking at with our talent management module is for employees to log in just like they would their email on a daily basis, almost like their home landing page. And it's going to surface positions that they might be a fit for. It's going to align that with their career goals. So as an employee, I can say, hey, this is what I would like to do. Here's where I'd like to take my career. And we're going to surface up recommendations for that. And we're also going to surface up maybe some classes or some courses they need to take through their LMS to help them shorten that curve and get into that role a little bit sooner. We even need a resume. We got to the point with my recruiters where we felt so confident with the calibrations and the ranking of folks that we would reach out to folks based on the calibration. We hardly ever started looking at resumes there at the end, because once I start looking at resumes, whether or not I think I have bias or not, I do, and I'm going to impart that bias in my process. So if I see a school that was a rival of mine, I might say, oh, well, I'm going to look at somebody else first, or maybe I think their commute is too far, so I don't reach out to them. There's lots of bias that's built into it, and then we help eliminate that. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is really how it works. So this first kind of circle here, this public data sources, this is where we pull in all of our information. This is the information that everyone has anymore, right? There's no magic pill. We can all go to LinkedIn, we can all run Boolean searches on Google, we can all go to Glassdoor, Indeed, and get this information, right? This is all publicly available information. But where the magic comes in is when we start to infuse it with the enterprise data, right? So it's over 4 billion screening results, and what we've done is we've looked at all the folks that we've ingested, we've looked at their titles, we've looked at the skill sets they have, we've looked at where they've been successful, where they haven't, if it's connected to their HRIS. But that's how we start really getting kind of this neural network, this deep learning AI, so we can say, okay, here's what success looks like inside our organization now. Let's pair that with outside information. And now, like we said before, if I'm a recruiter and I have 100 people per requisition, and I have 20 requisitions, how do I get through that very quickly? So by really understanding at the root what success looks like from a skills standpoint, we can say, okay, automatically screen every candidate for every position. So instantly, whether you have 5 open positions or you have 500 open positions, with the power of artificial intelligence now, we can go in there, look at every single person inside your applicant tracking system and refresh that data and remap those people against your open positions. So if someone applied 10 years ago, and you rejected them 10 years ago because they needed to have 1 more year of experience, well, of course they're going to have it now. They're going to have 9 more years, but we're going to recommend what positions are a fit for now. So you're going to be able to unlock all prior candidates for recruiting. You're going to be able to stack rank these candidates for consideration, evaluate on skills and potential, and finding more of that non-traditional talent, and prevent the unconscious bias. Next slide, please. So building a business case for deep learning AI. You know, I never looked at this platform as it would make X hires for me. I knew going into the year, I'd set my budget, I had done my capacity planning. I knew that my recruiters were going to make X amount of hires. What I was trying to do was drive efficiency in that process and make their jobs a little bit easier, and frankly, as a manager, give a little bit more work-life balance back to them. So what we're seeing, and this is all measurable, and we're more than happy, the folks at ROI Healthcare Solutions, Kevin and the team there are more than happy to come in and do some of this value consulting to figure this stuff out for you. But it saves recruiter time. Once again, I can instantly have a pipeline of my folks, right? And this is one of the change management things we did. I told my recruiters, hey, recruiters, bring your laptops to those initial meetings with the managers. We're going to calibrate the position right then. Before you even walk out of that door or that meeting with the manager, you're going to have a list of people for them to start reviewing and for you to start reaching out to. That's vastly different than how we've been doing it the last 20 years, where we get that information from the manager and we say, okay, great seeing you. I'll be back in 2 weeks with some folks to look at, right? So that leads into faster time to fill. I knew that if you could look at all the people in my database and map them against my open positions, that's a warm talent pool. Those people are much more open to an outreach than the folks that have no idea who you are. So I was very confident that we could hit the faster time to fill, reduced use of point solutions. I think the larger of an organization you are, the more likelihood you can really parlay one platform. I think for some of the smaller organizations I see, view Eightfold as the painter's palette, right? And as a recruiter, you have multiple colors on that palette that you can paint and use to create your art. And so that's how I look at Eightfold. We're this platform that makes everything more efficient, whether it's sourcing passive candidates, whether it's utilizing agencies, right? So and here's some things that you can look at to really see, does it really work, right? So talent acquisition before Eightfold and with Eightfold, right? 4 to 8 weeks to get a candidate pipeline, do it instantaneously now. 2 to 4+ months for a hire. Everyone knows that it's hard to make hires right now. So we're seeing some reductions in that time. And the cost of hire is expensive. And if we can, the way I looked at this is, if we can look at our talent pools and foster that talent pool and get to what we call 0 days to hire, we will win the war for talent. Good talent's only available for a few weeks. So if we wait too long, they're not going to be available. Diversity. One of the things I did at Gigamon was I used this to really drive diversity hiring, and I increased it in every single one of my key categories: women, Black, African American, Latino and Latina, veterans. I think that was the 4, but I raised it across the board in all of them. And once again, I did that because I had the talent diversity dashboard. I knew where I stood. Part of the problem is, if you don't know where you stand, how can you move the dial forward? So by understanding where we are at by each group, we can put together a really specific plan. Our rule was, hey, the first 10 people we reach out to are diversity fits. So calibrate the tool, identify the diversity folks, and reach out to them first. Talent management, I think this is key. I've worked for some places that had 20-25% attrition. That'll kill a company, right? To have your best people walk out the door. So what do you do to combat that? You offer them a place where they can go to build their career, build their skills, right? You should never be afraid to train your folks, right? There used to be that cartoon where the CFO and the CEO ask each other. The CFO says, hey, if we train all these people, it's going to cost us X. And the CEO says, well, what's it going to cost us if we don't train them and they stay? So train your people, right? Talent management is huge. If you show your people you care, they'll stay. Candidate experience is huge. Candidates expect this nowadays. 70 to 80% of the candidates that are applying for your jobs know that they want to work there before they even applied. They spent time on Glassdoor, they spent time on Indeed, they spent time on your website, they spent time on YouTube watching videos. They know. And the easier you make it for them to ingest that information, the easier it is for them to apply. And recruiter productivity, we talked about this, but it's almost like having an automated sourcer there on the back end that can really, this is what I told my teams, it helps separate the signal from the noise. The noise is the 200 people you have to look at. The signal is your one hire. If I can use a tool that helps me eliminate that noise and identify that signal, all the best. Next slide, please. So here's real quick, here's what the platform looks like. You'll start down there on the bottom, you'll see your HRIS, that's a two-way feed in and out, your applicant tracking system, your learning and management systems, your vendor management system, and really kind of we have 3 dots there for anything else we can think of, any type of data to ingest. Obviously, we're known for talent acquisition and diversity, the experience, the personalized job descriptions, chat bots, that's starting to emerge more with us now. The talent management piece is a critical piece, and one thing we're looking at moving forward is Talent Flex, and that's really how to manage contingent workforce programs. I've managed $50 million programs in the past for HGST. So that's a huge spend, and it's a huge cost on organizations. So if we can help drive efficiency there, that is something we're looking at. Next slide, please. And I think I hand this one back over to my buddy Kevin.
Yep. So this is where we try to wrap a little summary tag around what you've just heard. You just heard a bunch of information. One thing I want to point out is that Eightfold doesn't replace Infor. Eightfold integrates into the Infor solution. It literally can be bookended by Infor. So all your data can sit in Infor. You use Eightfold to find the right person to bring into your organization, and then bring that person back into Infor for pre-boarding, onboarding, and things like that. So again, it doesn't replace your Infor talent management solution. It greatly enhances your ability to use that talent acquisition, talent management system. As far as, Michael touched on a little bit about finding the right person for the right job. The Eightfold solution actually works also with Infor, takes your current employee data and applies it to your internal open positions. So just imagine finding a career path for your employees before they even start looking. That's a really powerful tool. Then think about, logistically, how your recruiters can spend their time when they can really focus on interacting with candidates, interacting with new hires, instead of spending one whole week of every month just looking at resumes. As Michael said earlier as well, you can almost instantly look at candidates as soon as you have a job open. You can also instantly calibrate the candidates that you're looking for based on that job. And again, it's important to note that recruiter roles don't go away as a result of this tool, but the recruiters spend more time on valuable processes. It allows, and so what do you need to do to start looking at this? Look at your current processes and see where this tool helps and can integrate into your systems, into your current Infor system and your other recruiting tools. How you can use your recruiters more effectively and what it might look like for you. So start thinking about what your talent acquisition or talent management processes look like when you don't have to spend so much time trying to find people. When you can actually think about the processes and what Michael said, what it looks like to the employee or looks like it to the applicant. And then finally, let us know you're interested. We're more than happy to show you, either me or Michael or Diana, more than happy to get on a webinar, show you exactly what the solution looks like, how it works, how fast it works. We can let Diana talk about her experience looking up one particular role and found the ideal person showed up in her results as the top person. Person she was kind of hoping she would showed up. So it obviously works. And that's kind of the wrap on our presentation here. I'll turn it back over to Diana. Let her give us a little bit of a wrap up, take questions from everybody. Hopefully you guys have a lot of questions for us. We have lots of answers for you.
Yeah, I would love to answer some questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, if you want to ask questions, we can open up the lines for that, but you can also submit your questions through the chat feature so we can get those right away.
I did actually have one question for Michael.
Sure.
On his slide that talks about the data gathering. how else can, like, I think I read somewhere where, like, if I'm at a career fair and I have like a QR code or a URL, an employee can just text their LinkedIn profile to my URL, and that puts me in the data. Is that how easy it really works?
So yeah, we're just releasing what we call event recruiting now. The last 2 weeks, the term event has been redefined. So this is going to probably be more of a virtual event recruiting tool for the next few months. But yes, we have, if you're going to a career fair and you know there's going to be certain folks in attendance, you can take their resume books, load it in, provide a QR code that someone would scan with their QR code when they come up. You would know who they are. You would instantly know which positions are matched for. You could then route them to the right people to talk to. So yes, it really is that simple.
So,
We just
let me ask let me stop you real quick. You said they'd scan the QR code, I would know who they are, and I would know instantly what positions in my organization they would fit.
Yes, because I already have that person preloaded from the resume book.
Wow.
So when they would come in, I would know who they are through that QR code, or they tell me, hey, my name is Mike Watson. I type you into my system real quick. I no longer need that paper resume, right? I have your information. I've taken your skills, or I've taken your profile. I've broken that down into skills. I've matched those against the skills we have for the positions we're open. And now, just like Yelp will recommend restaurants, 4.5, 4, 3.5, we give a ranking on the person for fit on skill set. So yeah, so instantaneously when you come up to an event recruiting, we're going to know what positions you're the fit for. So I can say, hey, you're actually a great fit for some HR consulting positions we have. I got Kevin that's right over here to my left. He's talking to a person now, but maybe just wait to talk to Kevin. Or if it was virtual, we would then set up a video call with Kevin and the candidate to carry on that conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think it's amazing what this tool will do. And I think the thing that people who've joined us today need to know is that this is really about solving that problem of finding people, right? So if we think about that traditional model, I mean, Kevin talked about it earlier, we're going to post a job and hope people see it. And in this model, we're flipping that whole paradigm on its head, and we're giving recruiters a tool to go get people, find people, have them in their pool. We had one question that came in that said, can you take a look at your existing pool of applicants? Absolutely. They've applied already. You've got a huge group of people that you can actually tap and access and let the system tell you what they're a fit for. You may, I know all the recruiters and the folks who have ever hired anybody, right? You get all these resumes in, or you get all these applicants in, and while you interview someone, you may even go through the whole interview process and go, they're just not a right fit for this position, but I really like this person and I think they'd be a fit somewhere. Why not let the tool tell you where? And that's where I think the power is. And when we couple that with what Infor is doing as far as the ERP, we now have the ability to have that requisition approval, get those things moving faster. And then really where the recruiters pick up is the diversity hiring and finding the right people and not spending this enormous amount of time trying to figure out who those right people are, but having those good key quality conversations. I mean, the ability to go from calibrating a position, and when we say calibrating a position, I'm skeptical. I've been in this industry, this is my 34th year in HR, and I got on the system and I said, okay, I'm going to put in, this role. And literally in 5 minutes, I started getting people that matched my position and was able to reach out to them. Imagine the power of that. And imagine taking that even further and saying, how do we reduce our contract spend by being able to get those folks in faster, right? I mean, there's millions of dollars. Yeah, there's millions of dollars on the table here that can be recouped through this process. It's really amazing, and I think everybody should take a chance to kind of see it. Couple recommendations for things I want people to do is to go out to the Eightfold site. We've got some thought leadership pieces for you. As you know, on the ROI site, we always have some thought leadership pieces there. We've got our blog, we've got my ebook, we've got some other pieces out there that you can start to think about what you can do. And then the Eightfold site as well. Fantastic book written by the three guys you saw on the slide earlier, What's Next for You, really talking about how we're changing the way people find jobs or the jobs find them in the future. Of course, Eightfold has a blog as well. And then there's a couple of places where you can go take a look at some great articles about this particular tool and how this is going to change the industry. There's some pieces in there, different articles, different resources, all over the place where this is starting to get some traction. And I think for us, we've been working with a lot of the healthcare organizations and public sector and K through 12 and a lot of these other organizations, and I keep hearing the same thing over and over again. We've never been able to solve that problem of how do we get the recruiters to find people faster, but not just finding people faster, finding the right people faster. Because if we're just putting a body in the chair, that doesn't really solve the problem. We need to have the right people in our organizations, and being able to do that deep talent fit. Not only if you look across the board, it's personality, it's skill set, it's cultural fit, all of those things that go into finding someone to be successful in a position. And I think we've found the magic here.
So maybe this is a question for Michael. So what do I as an applicant, so am I even aware that that the organization might be looking at me, or do I have to do something, or do I have to express like if I applied for a nurse case manager job and I don't even know there's a risk manager job open, do I have to do anything to apply for that risk manager job?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kevin. So what would happen is one of the service offerings we have is what we call PCS, which is a personalized career site. And we use our same AI matching technology and deep learning on that end as well. So for candidates that come to your website, maybe they saw a job posting, they clicked on apply, they're now routed to your website. When they upload their resume, we're going to use that deep learning and those algorithms to look at them and then surface the ideal job for them. And it'll say strong match, good match, or it could say, hey, right at this time, we don't have something that matches your skills, right? But we still want you to be a part of this talent pool. That could change tomorrow. So yes, it's going to say, hey, you're a perfect fit for this, and you'd also be a great fit for this.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and if I add one thing real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
The number one thing we're seeing from CHROs right now is, how do I know what skills I have internally? For succession planning, and I'll tell you this: all of the very large consulting companies are coming to us right now for the data, right? So we are the ones that have the data and can go and sit down with the CHRO and say, hey, these are the skill sets you have. Or sit down with the chief CTO and say, hey, this is the tech stack you're going to move towards. This is the current skills you have now. This is the delta. Here's the plan to get there. So I know we talked a lot about recruiting, but this powerful platform really gives you deep insights into the current skill sets you have. And for those CHROs or heads of HRs that are on this call, if you need that type of information, be sure you reach out to the folks at ROI Healthcare because they can help you with this.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So I went back to the slide that has our contact information on it, guys, because I think, hopefully folks are thinking about the possibility of what this could do. And I encourage you to go out to the Eightfold website and dig a little deeper because, when I first saw this product, having been in HR forever, it really got me thinking about, wow, we can actually provide value to recruiters and as far as that match goes. And I think it's going to change the game. And so if you're interested in seeing the product, there's some videos and things out on the Eightfold site, but you can certainly contact Michael, Kevin, or myself, and we'll get you in touch with someone at Eightfold who can actually walk you through a web demo. And I think it's important to understand, if you're at least intrigued at all, to take a look at it, because when you see the actual product and the functionality and how it's calibrating, I think you're going to be as excited about it as I am. And really, we look forward to not only continuing the work that we're doing with the organizations we're working with, but dropping this piece into that process of transformation to help solve that problem that has just existed forever. So I encourage you to reach out to any one of us and we can get you connected for a demonstration.
Yeah, and I use the term, sounded like an infomercial, but it really is. Because I was a little skeptical that it works, but it works really fast. And I've even played around on the Eightfold platform, looking. I spent a lot of time in human resources, and I tried to post my job, so to speak. As soon as I put it out there, people I expected to show up did in the results. And I wouldn't, so that they may or may not be looking for a new role, but at least I have a candidate pool who I, in my own tested to see if it works, came up as the people I would expect to show up. So it really does. And again, if you're interested, we can show you how fast it works, because as Michael said, it instantly provides results, and it really does.
Yeah, we've done a couple pilots where we've had customers. They'll send us positions. They'll say, "Hey, here's a position. Calibrate this for us, and then send us back. And then we'll send you this list of 50 people. Calibrate it. Stack rank these people according to your AI. Then send that list back to us." Every time we've done that, we've always identified the hire they made, because they'll put a couple hires in there, right, to see if we identify them. And every time we have identified their hire as a 4-star match or higher.
And how long did that take you to turn around?
I'd have to go talk to our integrations teams, because they have to.
It wasn't 2 weeks to turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a little bit of time. I can't look at it overnight, but it's if you are skeptical and you're like, "Hey, how does this really work?" Because that's the question I had. Once I saw that, then it was, for those of you that you use Yelp, it was as easy as, okay, this is the one I'm choosing. I'm going to go off the recommendations. I'm not even going to look at the pictures, the menu, right? It's got a 4-star recommendation. I have good luck at all the 4 stars. I'm just going to reach out. I'm going to go there.
Yeah. Well, but my point about that was you got a 4-star recommendation that didn't take 30 days to find.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it just depends on. I mean, this is how it changed it, right? Because a lot of times we're meeting with managers for that initial intake meeting, and maybe the position's been open for a day or two. So you might have 15, 20 people that have applied in that first day. So once you calibrate it, you can look at all your applicants. But a lot of times I'd say, okay, we got 10 applicants and we got 3,000 people here in our talent pool that it's saying it's a fit for. Let's mine that a little bit more. Let's look at, out of those 3,000 people, let's look at past employee referrals. And then once I get that down, I can say, okay, show me out of the past employee referrals, those that are most likely to make a move right now. Because once again, our algorithms know that, oh, hey, this person, right, a perfect example, this person has been their last 5 jobs for 2 years. So our algorithms know your 6th job, you're at 1 year and 12 months, you might be likely to move, right? That's what the data tells us. So we surface those types of things. So yeah, you have your applicants, but once again, I would do this before the requisition was even approved. Yeah. A lot of times a manager would come to me and say, hey, I have someone here. I think I'm going to have to make a move. I think I'm going to have to make a backfill. I think someone on my team is going to leave. What do you have in the pipeline? And I could instantaneously show them the pipeline.
Yeah.
That was a game changer.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, we've got a question coming in with regards to the regulatory reporting, right? So when you think about affirmative action and some of these other reporting that has to be done, yep. It's usually based upon candidates that apply for a specific requisition. Can you talk a little bit to the reporting capabilities that are available within the solution and how we help with some of the regulatory reporting?
Yeah, so we were EEOC compliant at Gigamon. All right, so we had to really delineate between candidates and applicants and per position. So I'll share this quick story with you. My HR operations director comes over to me right? I'd been at Gigamon less than a year. She says, hey, Mike, we got to do EEOC reporting. It usually takes a couple weeks. This is all the information I need from you. And it was a manual process. And I said, Cecilia, let me give you access to our diversity dashboard. I hadn't shared it yet. We just went live with it. I was like, can you poke in there and see if that gives you all your information you need? She came back to me 20 minutes later. She's like, Mike, I don't know where this platform came from, but this solved all of our issues. We're done with our reporting, and it took us 20 minutes. Oof. So yes, one thing to keep in mind is we aggregate the data. We're not the data collector. So as long as you are compliant with the way you're set up in your current applicant tracking systems, we're going to mirror that. So if your systems and your applicant tracking systems and you delineate between candidates and applications and you report out on how many applicants per application, yes, we can do that because we're going to mirror that environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's amazing too, is that, you know, one of the things that we always hear from folks is reporting is a challenge, and it's a challenge in any system that you have, right? Because the minute you think you have the rules figured out for reporting, it changes. And I know for myself and for Kevin and a few others on our team, when we started looking at not only the diversity reporting, but some of the other reporting as well, it was beautiful. And by beautiful, I mean, not only did it look good, but it made me feel good that you didn't spend 2 weeks pulling data together, right? And that's huge. If you could take 2 weeks of somebody's time, you know, take 80 hours times their hourly rate, that's a huge amount of money. So the cost savings is not only in the time to fill, but it's across the board in this entire talent acquisition process, you know, that we can find. There's money everywhere to be had if we can fix this whole sourcing issue. And I think this is the solution to do it. All right, well, we are heading towards the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Once again, this call has been recorded. We will be receiving a link to the recording, and if you want to share that with others, you're welcome to do so. Our contact information is here on the screen. You're welcome to reach out. For anybody who has any questions, comments, wants to see the product, we can get you in touch with the right folks to do a little web demo for you. Once again, I want to thank you all for joining us and letting us share kind of our thought leadership and just kind of some of our transformation activities with you all today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.